Welcome to the 11th Annual Rosemount High School Military Recognition Ceremony and first virtual ceremony for our students who have committed to serve their country as members of the United States Armed Forces. Charlie Lorich, RHS staff member and U.S. Air Force Senior Master Sergeant retired, will lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Hello enlistees. I am Charlie Lorich, a paraprofessional here at Rosemount High School. I have worked at Rosemount for 16 years. Previous to that, I was in the Air Force for 23 years, having served in Saudi Arabia during Desert Shield and Desert Storm. I also deployed to Iraq and Afghanistan during Operation Enduring Freedom and Operation Iraqi Freedom. Rosemount High School has a long history of students stepping up to serve their country, dating back to World War I. I am very proud that you have decided to step up and serve our country. So would you please stand and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Lorich, for your service to country and also Rosemount High School. Hello, students, parents, Rosemount High School staff, Superintendent Krieger, school board members, and distinguished guests, including Senator Greg Clausen and Representative John Hewitt. I am Pete Roback, principal of Rosemount High School, and I am honored to welcome all of you to our virtual ceremony. Rosemount High School prides itself on a long tradition of having graduates serve this great nation in the armed forces. It is with great pride that we thank and congratulate our students who will build upon this tradition by choosing to serve their country following their graduation a few weeks from now. This very special group of students has chosen to answer their nation's call to serve. As you will learn, these students are also committed to post-high school training through a variety of options provided through their service in the military. Students, on behalf of the faculty and staff of Rosemount High School, our deepest and sincere congratulations. Our best wishes for your success and safety. Our heartfelt thanks for choosing to serve your country. To the parents, guardians, and family members, congratulations to you as well, and you must all be very proud. Thank you for allowing us to share in your pride for these students and their commitment to service. Next, I would also like to recognize a few people who are instrumental in making this program happen. I would like to recognize and thank Beyond the Yellow Ribbon members, Carl Xavier and Stephen Engel, for all their support, not only for this ceremony, but also in the community for their work with both active and retired military members. I would like to recognize Rod Smith and his wife, Nancy. Mr. Smith is the person who brought the idea of this program forward 11 years ago. Mr. Smith continues to support this program both in spirit and financially. Mr. Smith is a retired Chief Yeoman of the United States Naval Reserve and a retired member of the Rosemount High School faculty. Rod, thank you for making this program an annual tradition here at Rosemount High School. Finally, I would like to recognize retired Rosemount High School teacher, Miss Denise Sullivan. She is one of the greatest, most giving people I know and does the most work behind the scenes in putting this ceremony together. It simply would not be possible without her hard work and commitment to Rosemount High School and its students. We are honored this afternoon to be joined by guest speaker, Lieutenant Colonel Jake Zender of the United States Air Force Reserve. He has some words to share with you.
Welcome, Principal Roback, distinguished visitors, special guests, parents, and most importantly, our students who have taken the hard road and committed themselves to military service. We are here today to honor you and your sacrifices and to wish you well in all of your future endeavors. My name is Lieutenant Colonel Jake Zender, and I'm an officer in the Air Force Reserves, stationed here in Minnesota. Actually, I live right here in Rosemount and am a member of the Rosemount community. And in fact, I even have 2 children that attend Rosemount High School right now. Dylan, who's a junior this year, and Paige, who's a freshman this year. And in my civilian career, I'm a vice president of sales for a manufacturing company that ships products across the globe based here in the Twin Cities called Engage Technologies. Today, I want to share with you a couple thoughts on military service, with a dominant theme really refocusing on resilience, which I think that is key to the entire class of 2020, but is going to be especially important to the students that are taking on the obligation of military service today. In this time of COVID-19, we're all learning new ways and our lives are in flux. And the key phrase that I'm hearing on the news and in papers and on the web is resilience. Some others call it grit, and others have called it an ability to adapt to an ever-changing surroundings and still excelling. Well, class of 2020, this is what military lifestyle is all about. Each of you were born shortly after 9/11, and you came into the world during a time of war and are now leaving high school at a time when we're facing another type of war. And I would argue that you have been probably one of the most resilient classes out there and are prepared to even be more resilient in the next years to come. Part of resiliency is demonstrating leadership and followership, as you will all be leaders and followers very early in your military careers, and you'll need to learn and hone those skills over time, and especially in your first days during basic training, which I know you all will be attending over the coming weeks. There's a great speech that I'd like to paraphrase from Admiral McRaven when he made it as a graduation speech at the University of Texas, Austin in 2014, where he highlighted these basic things, which is step one, make your bed every day. Do it well. Why? Because this is the first task of the day. You need to accomplish this task well, be evaluated on it, and then that will lead to the next step, the next task, and the next task. And throughout the day, you'll have accomplished multiple things. And even, again, to paraphrase Admiral McRaven, even if you've had the worst day ever, at least you get to come home to a well-made bed at the end of the day. Parents, you'll thank me later for telling your children now, start learning how to make your bed very early before you go off to basic training. It'll be a skill that you'll use your entire life. I'll also share a little bit of information that your drill instructors will also speak to you in a tone that encourages you to follow their direction very closely and will garner your attention very quickly. I highly recommend you follow that tone as well. And again, the point is not to yell at you constantly. It's to accomplish one task, followed by another task, and to do them simply and correctly. Now, in my experiences over the last several years, especially going back to my very early years in my military career, I was a very green lieutenant on 9/11. I was in charge of an intelligence flight at Grand Forks Air Force Base in North Dakota, flying KC-135s, and 3 days after 9/11, I was shipped off to the desert in the Middle East, on the ground in a bare base that was simply a runway. And we had to set up operations, and I had, as a young 24-year-old lieutenant, to command an entire intelligence flight and to put 10 airplanes in the air every day over Afghanistan and Pakistan. I had a flight of young airmen that were looking to me. I also had a commander that I was following as well. So I learned these very basic, simple tasks to accomplish the first thing at the beginning part of the day and continue that throughout. As they said, welcome to leadership and welcome to resilience. As another good friend of mine said to me, welcome to the NFL. Those simple tasks that I learned in basic training helped get me through those first couple days in the desert when the world was very uncertain. It helped me learn, adapt, overcome obstacles that I couldn't even see in front of me, and no matter what, accomplish a mission, put planes in the air every day. And those experiences of adversity and resilience that makes you constantly stronger and constantly better and prepares you for the next step. A couple points I'd like to highlight for everyone. Number one, you will fail. I guarantee it. I also guarantee that you will learn from it. You'll grow from it. And the main takeaway for everyone is to get comfortable with failure. I still fail every day in my job. I learn from those mistakes. I get better. I grow from those mistakes that I learn from. Even in the last weeks as a vice president of my company, I made a mistake 6 months ago. I learned from it. I was in the same situation just last week with another employee, and I handled the situation much better and much differently and much more successfully. For those around you, earlier I spoke of followership. Taking care of your friends, watching over those around you. In the Air Force, we call it the Wingman Program, and other services have other names for it. But they all have the same idea. Make a difference in people's lives and take care of them. Again, going back to Admiral McRaven's speech from 2014, I wanted to highlight another great point that he made. Everybody, roughly the 20 students today being honored, will impact somebody. According to Google, you'll impact over 10,000 people during your life. Make sure you impact them in a positive way. So take the 20 of us sitting here in the room today being honored and 10,000 people you'll impact. Those in the room that are taking up the banner of military service are going to impact over 200,000 people's lives over their lifetime. Make it count, and make it count in a positive way, beyond the walls of Rosemount High School and beyond the borders of Rosemount, Minnesota. Because you all are choosing a career in the profession of arms to serve your country and to serve those around you. In my case, my training, my career choice, my background put me in the right place at the right time with the right skill sets during 9/11 to make a difference. Partially I was lucky, partially I was just at the right time at the right place. That will come to you. Each one of you will have that same chance pursuing a military career. Make the most of those experiences. Mine happened very early in my career. Others, it could happen many years later in your career. But make the most of those experiences, whether you stay in the military for 4 years or 24 years. Now, over the next several weeks and months, times will be tough for all of you. Graduation here in Rosemount, whatever form that takes, leaving home, going off to basic training, learning military life, it will all challenge you. You will, and I guarantee this, you will all question your decisions. You will have doubt. But stay the course. Remember what made you serve early on. What made you make that commitment? What made you make that decision? As a good friend of mine said during basic training, Jake, this really sucks. Lean into it, embrace the suck. It'll make you better. And most importantly, keep your eyes on the prize, the goal, whatever that is for each one of you. Every one of you has a different goal in mind. That's okay. For some of it, it's college money. For others, it's a 20-year career in the military. Potentially, it's airman stripes or sergeant stripes or PFC stripes. For others, it may be a commission. Others, it may be that degree. But whatever the goal is, keep your eyes on the prize. Why are you doing this? Because that will bring you through those tough, dark days when you know you'll encourage and get failure. Thirdly, get used to being measured, evaluated, and critiqued. This is part of military life, and competition always makes us better. Last night I watched The Last Dance about Michael Jordan and Phil Jackson and the last years of the Chicago Bulls. And one of the comments that Phil Jackson made was, I always put Michael Jordan with the second team, competing against the first team. Why? Because he wanted to practice against the best. Competition makes us better. Embrace it, because you don't want to be afraid of it. In my world, in the sales world, in my civilian career now, when I transitioned from being an Air Force officer to managing a team of 40 sales guys stationed around the globe, sales is competition. I love it. I love competing every day for the next sale. I love competing in the military for the next rung on the ladder. I loved competing in sports, and I honed those skills over my time to embrace it. Learn that skill and embrace it, because that is the part that's going to make the most of your military career. Lastly, After you leave the walls of Rosemount High School, don't forget about your community in Rosemount and Rosemount High School. Come back. Come back as often as you can. Say hi to your teachers. Offer to make a presentation in one of your old classes to the underclassmen about your experiences. I guarantee you all are going to have wildly different and wildly exciting experiences, and a couple boring ones too. The military lifestyle will take you all around the world potentially, but don't ever forget where you came from, your roots that helped form who you are within these halls of Rosemount, and what helped form you as a person and who you are now and who you want to become. I guarantee you the military will change you. Parents, I guarantee you the military will change your kids. But don't ever forget your roots and where you came from, and come back. And I encourage you, share those experiences with the Rosemount community around you. In closing, on behalf of the entire Rosemount community that stands behind you and Rosemount High School, thank you for stepping up and sacrificing of yourself to be part of something greater, making sure every day you live up to the goals that you set for yourself and live up to that standard that the Rosemount community has set for not only you, but for everyone around you. At this time, I'd now like to administer a ceremonial oath of office to everyone. So for those of you watching this video, please stand. For those of you that are about to take on the mantle of military service, please stand and raise your right hand and repeat after me. I state your name. Do solemnly swear or affirm that I'll support and defend the Constitution of the United States against all enemies, foreign and domestic, that I'll bear true faith and allegiance to the same, that I take this obligation freely, without any mental reservation or purpose of evasion, and that I will well and faithfully discharge the office upon which I'm about to enter. So help me God. So again, on behalf of the entire Rosemount community, welcome to the banner of military service, and thank you again for taking time out of your schedules to spend a little bit of time with us today. Thank you.
Lieutenant Colonel Zender, thank you for being our keynote speaker in this year's military ceremony. This concludes our ceremony. As a school, we again wish to congratulate these 17 students and their families. We thank them for their service. We are proud of each of them for their accomplishments here at Rosemount High School and look forward to following their careers as they serve our country. Thank you.